But again, thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. My name is Jason. I'm from the marketing team at Mydoma. If you are unfamiliar with Mydoma, we're the premier platform for interior designers. So our goal is really to help you spend more time designing and less time managing. And how we do that is by letting you automate and streamline a lot of your processes, but also give you access to a powerful suite of tools for your presentation, such as mood boards. And we just added rendering, which is something I was telling Desi about that we're very, very excited about. So if you do want to check us out, it's just mydomastudio.com. We have a free 15-day trial, and we would love to see you on there. But we are here today for an incredible topic. We have Desi Creswell back. We love Desi. Desi's done a few presentations for us. They're always super popular. They're always amazing. And so we're super psyched to have her come and talk about the 3 secrets for time management for interior designers. If you don't know Desi, and this is your first introduction, Desi's a certified life and business coach who helps interior designers stop feeling overwhelmed so they can intentionally build profitable, fulfilling businesses that enrich and support their lives as a whole. She's an incredible speaker. Like I said, we always have an amazing time with her. And I know she's going to share so many amazing things with you today. So I'm going to turn off my camera, turn off my camera and mute myself so Desi has the floor. But before I do, I just want to say, if you have any questions for Desi over the course of the presentation, be sure to put them in the Q&A box so we don't miss them. Sometimes chat can move pretty fast and we might miss it if you throw it in there. So if you do have a question for Desi, we'll address them at the end of the presentation, but please, please, please use that Q&A box. But thank you again, Desi, for coming today. And
oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited to work with everyone. All right. Is it on me, Jason, now? Can everyone see me?
They can.
All right, good, good. I'll wait to share my screen for just a little minute, but I want to officially welcome you all here and just say I'm honored to be your coach for the next 60 or so minutes that we have together. I truly believe that this is our relationship. Right now, we're going to dive in, and I'm here to support you in whatever way I can, whether that's through the information I'm going to be sharing or through the Q&A. I love Q&A, so like Jason said, make sure to put it in the Q&A box, not the chat, so that way we can get to it. So now you've signed up here because something I said in either the blog post or one of the things I've shared with Mydoma has resonated, right? You're probably feeling overwhelmed, maybe stressed, feeling like you're pulled in all the directions, right? You are probably feeling a little too distracted during your day and maybe all over the place. You're checking email, then you're bouncing to a site visit, then you're doing this and that, right? So that's not how you want to feel during your day. I know that you want to feel calm and focused and knowing that you're making progress on your client projects, the things that are working in the back end of your business for you. And I also know that you want to feel accomplished at the end of your day, not like you look up at your desk at 4 p.m. and say, where the heck did my day go? I also know that you want to be confident, feeling like you're the one who's in the driver's seat of your business. And that really starts with managing your time. So we're going to be talking all about that today, and I'm really excited. The best part of this type of work, learning to manage your time, is the self-trust that comes on the other side of it. Because you know that you can create a really solid plan for yourself. You know you can trust yourself to follow through on that plan. And the big piece is you trust yourself to pivot and readjust when things don't go as planned. That's a part of time management too, because as you know, in the interior design world, things come up, maybe a little, issue at the site or maybe an order issue, right? Things happen. So we need to have the flexibility to be able to pivot. And that is one of the things we'll be talking about. So you're also here probably because the things you've done in the past have not worked to manage your time. And that's because no one has been teaching you what I'm going to share with you today. It is really an approach to time management that combines mindset with the practical tools and strategies. And you can't have one without the other. You have to have the mindset piece. And we'll talk about what mindset is specifically, but essentially it's how you do the things that you know you should be doing, right? There's plenty of tips out there on how to manage your time. It's doing the things and figuring out what works that's going to create the success. I want you to also know you are not fundamentally bad at managing your time, and you don't have to be all over the place just because that's how other designers are, or that's just the nature of this industry. Your brain is wired to be distracted. It's wired to be scanning for the unexpected. And it's always going to be telling you, if you don't take control of it, that you're behind, that there's not enough time, that there's too much to do. And now, one of the things is you probably do have a capacity issue. This is something that comes up with the majority of my clients where they have overcommitted to things. And we always work on dialing back those commitments or getting support with the commitments in conjunction with the mindset piece. But even, if you have too much to do, like the math of your day is not working, these stories that your brain spins about how overwhelmed you are and how behind you are not going to be helpful. And so we'll talk some more about that as well. So I want you to have a solid process for identifying what your priorities are, knowing what you need to work on, and also knowing that having a plan is not the only part, right? We have to have both. So let's talk a little bit more about the plan for today. I'm going to dive in shortly. I'm going to teach you my 3 secrets for time management. And it's not just going to be the time blocking. It's not about willpowering through your day. You're going to get some actionable strategies and tools to walk away with. And we're going to talk about the mental spin as well. So let's turn off any notifications you have, put your phone away. All of that will be there when we're done. You've already raised your hand today and said, I want to be here. You said, this is an issue that I want to resolve. So let's be all in together. I'm all in here with you. You be all in here with me, and make the most of this time. There is going to be a replay that gets sent out, but I want you to be here right now, okay? I want you to also just consider the impact of the investment of this hour in your business by learning how to manage your time. Think of the impact this will have, the ripple effect. Oh, Virginia, I see you. I hope you are well. I'm sorry. Okay, got distracted there. All right, but the ripple effect of managing your time, whether that is allowing you to do more of what you love in your business, being able to do more things outside of your business, like this is a game changer. So sit with the impact really of these 3 secrets, and I want you to connect to what you are gaining from learning these tools. So what I'm going to share can be applied to anything in your business. It can be applied to getting through client projects. It can be applied to back-end things like setting up systems, processes, welcome guides, any of that, right? And it could even be applied to your personal life as well. So keep returning to these secrets as I teach them. You are going to have some trial and error with the time management piece. I just want to share that up front. That is a part of the process. It doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. You're going to learn how to manage your time by doing, having some failures in there, yes, failure, and then learning and implementing and then doing again while you implement what you learned in the last session of doing, okay? You're going to keep getting better at this process and refining it, dialing it in so that it works for you, your unique ways, your unique business, and that is just a part of the process. So let's just talk about why, I sounded a little bit like Jason there. Let's talk about why I'm qualified to tell you about these things and teach you about these things. And that's because I used to be an overwhelmed interior designer myself, and I found another way. I felt so stretched thin. I felt all over the place. I felt behind. And this was when I was working for commercial firms and when I started my own residential practice. And I was responding to client emails when I was on the sofa with my husband trying to have a nice night. I was working till 9 or 10 at night, working on the weekends. And I was just never really off. And I was constantly stressed about what I was going to get done the next day. And the piece here is that I was outwardly successful. My business was doing really quite well. I was getting published. I was on the board of ASID. I, was a lead AP. I took the NCIDQ and passed and was a certified interior designer. I was checking all of the boxes, but internally, I felt very messy and was not enjoying my business at all. And I actually really thought about leaving the industry for the reason of maybe I just can't handle this. Maybe I can't handle the intensity, as if this was the only way. But I've come up with some tools and processes that I'm going to share that are so helpful. And I share them with my clients now that combine my skills as a life coach and a business coach that are going to help you actually enjoy your business again. And that starts with the time management. You should also know I'm a mom. I run a rental property business that I own with my husband. And I also have lots of activities that I like to do outside of work. And there can be time for it all. So the one thing I want you to really question before we get started is, what are you telling yourself you're going to have to give up by managing your time? Because I think that is a big blocker to doing this work. So just take a second and think about what that is. And for a lot of my clients, they think they have to give up spontaneity, creativity, that this is really going to dampen things for themselves. But ultimately, what I will show you and what I want for all of my clients is to have a framework where they get freedom. The tools that I teach my clients are not intended to just get more done for the sake of doing and getting things done. They are for you to go live more, enjoy your business more. So again, going back to that, what are you going to gain versus focusing on what you're going to give up? So be willing to be wrong about how you work best and be open to this new approach and see what comes of it. You can decide right now that it's possible you could be wrong about yourself. Okay? Creativity, focus, it all is available within this time management approach that I teach. And I've worked with over 100 interior designers and given them these tools and seen them create amazing results like reduced work weeks, increased profits. It's all available to you as well. So that's why I've created this workshop. Now, like Jason said, we're going to save the questions to the end. And if you haven't removed those distractions, please do that. And we're going to start learning in just a moment here and commit to start taking action on what you've learned. So I'm going to just pull up my screen here. Let's see. You'll get a quick snapshot of my kids. All right, where is Canva? There we go. All right, so the 3 secrets. We're going to dive right in. So we talked about this a little bit, why you're here. You want to feel calm, in control. You want to take time away from work to recharge. You want to create space for creativity and CEO work, and you want to be focused during the day so you can leave work at work. And now what you might have tried might look like being on the Google, managing your time, might be put in the search bar, time management hacks, buying lots of planners or programs and apps, and maybe just saying, well, I'll just work a little bit more to try and fit this all in. Now here's the problem with this approach, or those approaches, right? The first one is that intellectual knowledge is not the same thing as integration. And that's one of the reasons why when I work with clients, we start with a 6-month program for my Out of Overwhelm course, because we have to learn the knowledge of how to manage our time and then go implement. That's that failing, evaluating, and iterating on the process that's so important. The other piece here that I really want you to know is that planners and programs do not manage your time. They don't create that result for you. You create that result. It starts with your thinking, your relationship with your time, the relationship that you have with yourself. And when I say relationship with yourself, what I mean is really your ability to follow through, do what you say you're going to do, honoring your priorities, and really honoring that vision you have for your future self and your business. I want you to think about this. A planner really is just a tool like you use AutoCAD in your business or whatever rendering or drawing, drafting program you use. Think about this. Can AutoCAD design a kitchen? Can AutoCAD lay out the furniture? Right? AutoCAD can't do any of that without you and your vision and your ideas. So the exact same thing applies with a planner or a project management tool like Asana or ClickUp, right? Those are helpful tools, but ultimately the results are created with you. So I want you to remember that. And lastly, the system hopping or method hopping that I see happening often is we'll try something and then it doesn't work the very first time. So you decide, oh, I'm going to go try this. And then that doesn't work the first try. And so you go try something else. Literally any system could work. It's a matter of using the tools to, again, try it, see what works, what doesn't work, evaluate, and then iterate on the process. Okay? So you can really use any kind of tool you want. You can use Google, you can use iCal, you can use a paper planner, right? Like I provide a planner within my program that the designers love, but they don't have to use it. They can take what I teach them and apply it to something that works for them. So let's get into the secret. So the first thing is managing your mindset. I touched on this a little bit, but we're going to go a little deeper. So mindset really is that internal narrative or soundtrack. It's that running loop that you have in your brain. And we always behave according to the story we're telling ourselves. So if you think your schedule's out of control, if you think that you're always behind, if you think that there's never enough time, that's what you're going to create. And like I said, there's probably a capacity issue at play as well. And I definitely help my clients with that. But even once the capacity issue is resolved, if you're still looping on those same thoughts, you're going to feel behind, quote unquote behind, even when you're not. Okay, so we have to get this piece solved for first. A calm and focused and productive day really starts with what you're thinking and believing. And this is the best news ever because as you do the work to get your capacity in line, put the systems and processes in place, you can start feeling better immediately. Now, this is the model. This is a tool that I teach in my group program, and it really demonstrates how that internal soundtrack produces the results that you have in your life. So I'm just going to walk through it quickly and kind of give you an overview of what this looks like. So we've got the circumstance. Those are really the objective facts. So it might be the number of hours that you have to work that day. It might be the number of drawings you need to produce. It might be the number of days you're working this week. I know a lot of you probably are having thoughts about Labor Day and it being a short week and how you've started behind this week already, right? But it's not that it's a 4-day week. It's that we're having a thought about the 4-day week that is causing that feeling for you of behind, right? So the thought is your perception, your judgment, your interpretation of the circumstance. And those thoughts create a feeling. It's actually a chemical reaction that happens in your body, which I just think is incredible. And then those feelings are what fuel your action or inaction, what you do or don't do. And then, of course, we all know what you do or don't do is what's going to produce your results. So I like to think of feelings as fuel. So your feelings are your time management fuel. So you want to be paying attention to how you're feeling. So when we talk about emotions, there's a special category of them called indulgent emotions that are important to pay attention to. And They are a set of emotions that feel very important. They feel active. I often feel like it's like a spinning type feeling, but they keep you from effective action. So this is some of the examples of what these indulgent emotions might be. So overwhelmed, anxious, pressured, confused. So if we think about emotions as fuel, this is kind of like dirty fuel. Fuel that is not very efficient or effective, right? It's going to eventually slow you down. And a lot of people that I work with try and use these emotions as fuel to get more done, but it backfires and actually works in reverse of that. So I want you to think about which of these emotions are you using to fuel your day? Here are some examples of how this might play out for you with your thoughts and your feelings, right? Pay attention to how these thoughts feel in your body. When you tell yourself, I'm so behind, and you feel overwhelmed. I have to get this all done today. You feel pressured. I don't know where to start. Confused. And there's so many deadlines next week. Anxious, right? Those don't feel good. And when we don't feel good, we're not taking our most effective action. So no matter how well you know how to time block or like write out a task list, when we're fueling ourselves with these emotions, we're just not going to be as effective. So often I hear these statements, right? The ones we just saw here. I'm so behind, I have to get this done. And the client is like reporting the news to me. It's like it's 70 degrees and sunny outside. But maybe it's true, like I said, that you have a capacity issue, but does the way you're thinking serve you? Chances are it doesn't. Think about how you take action when you're pressured, when you feel pressured, when you feel rushed, when you feel agitated, right? So even if we could prove you're quote unquote behind schedule, is that useful for you to be telling yourself? I want you to really think about that. I want to share just some examples real quick of thoughts and feelings and how this plays out. This is something we dive way into on a daily practice with my clients, but let me just sell you on this a little bit here. So we could have a circumstance of a meeting, we've got to track certain orders, and we've got to review some drawings. And then you have the thought, I'm so behind. And the feeling, oops, excuse me, there we go. I put the wrong, there's no feeling there. So maybe you say like, I'm so behind, so you feel overwhelmed, right? And so then what the action is, you probably want to try and distract yourself. A lot of clients I find end up cleaning their studio. They're scrolling through Instagram, mentally spinning, looking for images of a project that like hasn't even started yet. And so what ends up happening is you get more behind on the things that you actually needed to get done that week, right? Because you're busy doing other things. And it's not because you had these meetings or orders to track. It's because of the story you're telling yourself that you're so behind. And we can reference this with the exact same circumstance and a different thought. You can still have that meeting. You can still have to track the orders. But when you're thinking, I can do this, you create the feeling of certainty for yourself. When you're feeling certain, you make a plan for the day, go one by one as you work through your plan, turn off notifications, you stay focused, right? And you become someone who can do the things that they set out to do. You increase your capability and your effectiveness in your day. Nothing has to change in order for everything to change, which is a beautiful thing. We're going to start there, okay? I'm going to grab a sip of water. So you could see when I compare and contrast those two thoughts, The difference between effective and ineffective action is the thinking and feeling that the action starts with. So this is always why we start with the mindset when we're doing time management. So think about it. What thoughts and feelings are currently driving your day? You get to decide what those thoughts and feelings are, and you can do that right now if you want. I'm going to give you some power thoughts that you can lean on, right? Because we're often, in these thought loops that aren't serving us, and it can be a challenge to think of anything else. So I'm going to give you some of mine. All right. So I make time for what's important. How do you feel when you tell yourself that? I feel empowered. There's plenty of time in this very moment and feel calm. This one I love. I don't need time, I need focus. I use this one a lot when I'm doing an email. Just bang them out. Present. Planning now saves time later, right? So you feel proactive. Proactive feels very similar to like in control or empowered for me. So borrow some of those. After we sign off and you move on with the rest of your day, I want you to take one of these or another one that you've come up with and give it a try. Try it on, see how it feels, and see how it can impact the action and the quality of your actions. And here's a fun secret: learning how to create time. We can either really cost ourselves time or create time. Everyone has the exact same 24 hours in the day. And so the way that we use those hours are up to us, and we can cost ourselves time or create time. And this does not mean, just to be clear, that you need to be productive every moment of the day, okay? That's not what I have to say about that. But it does mean that you can consciously choose the behaviors and actions you're taking. So let's talk about what costs you time. Buffering. This is a huge one. And when I say buffering, what I mean is using something external to manage your internal emotional state. So what that might look like is you're feeling really anxious about sending a proposal. And so you decide to open up Instagram on your phone and start scrolling, because that's going to give you a dopamine hit from seeing those brightly colored images. Maybe you get a message from another designer friend, and then you can get to have a little connection there, right? But unfortunately, the proposal is always waiting for us, right? The anxiety, if we don't learn to work with that anxiety in a productive way, is going to be waiting for you. So that costs you time. Second guessing and going back on decisions. Diving in without a plan. We tell ourselves that planning takes so much time and we don't have time to plan. There's too many things to do. We don't have time to plan. But trust me when I say, when you take time to plan, you save yourself hours and hours and hours on the back end. Overworking and exhaustion definitely costs you time. Now, this is another thing where it's like, we'll just do one more thing. We can try and get ahead, right? But there's really never ahead of that telling yourself you're behind, right? It just perpetuates itself. And when you get exhausted and overworked, you are definitely not effective. The other one is telling yourself, I don't know. I don't know creates confusion for yourself. And when we're confused, we don't take action. We don't move forward with things. We don't make decisions, right? And so we want to be careful with how many times we're telling ourselves, I don't know, because what if you did know? What if you just knew the next best step you needed to take? Here's what's going to create time. These are all things you can practice doing starting today. Making strong decisions. And when I say strong decisions, I mean making a decision, going all in on it, seeing what happens, and then using that information to make a new decision that's going to continue to move you forward. The other one here is constraint and the layering effect. And the constraint piece really is knowing specifically what you're working on and why. And this could be what you're working on in this particular hour. It could be what you're working on in this quarter, right? We can use that method of constraint in a lot of different ways, but it's making sure you know what you're working on, why you're working on it. And then the layering effect is seeing that piece to completion before you start adding in other things. Instead of spreading yourself and your energy and time and attention all over the place and making bits of progress on lots of little things, you go all in on a few core projects in your business, and that is going to move you forward so fast. Again, not being willing to not know the full how, like the exact steps or process, focusing on your next best action is going to create time. Setting expectations with yourself and others. How can you get ahead of the questions or potential issues that might come up on a project or with your clients? Getting ahead of those with expectations and clear communication saves you so much time. Delegating personally and professionally. Yes, you can delegate in your personal life. And then saying no unequivocally. Okay. So, perfect example of this is that non-ideal client who wants to work with you. They've sent you an email and you try and send them a nice email that's like giving them an excuse for why you can't take them on right now. And then they email you back and say, "Oh, I can wait." How many of you can relate to that? Come on, right? So if it's going to be a no, just say no now. You're going to save yourself so much time by just getting that discomfort out of the way now versus trying to put it off for later. The first step with creating time is always going to be awareness. I want you to start checking in with yourself just throughout the day. And you can ask yourself this one question. Is this costing me time or is this creating time? Okay, get clear and honest with yourself about that. And then you can ask yourself, what do I want to do about it? Maybe you don't want to do anything about it, but at least you're going to be honest with yourself. And maybe you choose to do something with it and can move on with greater intention. So either way, it's going to be useful. Start making conscious decisions about how you are using time or creating time. Okay, I love this one. All right. And I'm going to actually, secret number 3 is about results-oriented planning. And later this year in December, I'm actually going to be hosting a goal setting workshop where you'll learn a lot more about this. I'm going to give you a way to get on my list later on, but you're definitely going to want to be on my list so that you get an invite to this goal setting workshop. But for now, we're going to talk about it in the context of time management. Whenever we're managing our time, we want to start with the end in mind. And that means really understanding why are you doing the thing you're doing? And what is the ultimate desired outcome that you want to create? So if why you're doing that thing is because you think you should be doing it, you saw some other designer do it, right? And they thought it was a good idea, doesn't necessarily mean it's something you should be doing. You always want to be looking at what is the end result I want to create and letting that inform what you're doing on a daily basis, a weekly basis, quarterly basis, yearly basis. So I like to think of results in terms of short-term and long-term results. So those short-term results are really what you build into your daily and weekly and monthly planning. And then the long-term results are typically like a quarter or a year long, or even when I teach my clients about CEO mindset and we do a 3-year vision, it's a 3-year vision that's going to inform what they're working on in their business now to get them where they want to go. So that's very important because we often get confused about what we're doing and why. So an example of a long-term result could be you want a certain number of ideal clients under contract for the year of 2022. The short-term results that could possibly support that would be Instagram posts, talking to referral partners, putting up some new project photography on your website that reflect the style of your ideal client or the type of project you want to work on, right? So often I see a lot of confusion around what the result is. And I'm going to bring up Instagram again, right? Because it's something I coach on a lot. But we think that like we should just be doing Instagram because everyone's on Instagram. So that's just what we do. And the result is to get something posted, a pretty picture with a caption. But thinking about it just like that is really a disservice to the way that you're managing your time and the effectiveness in your business, both from a time standpoint and just achieving overall goals. Because we don't ever just make an Instagram post just to make an Instagram post. An Instagram post always has the ultimate outcome or that long-term result of producing an ideal client. So we want to have that in mind. So one, we can look at, do Instagram posts, are Instagram posts part of my client journey? Do people find me on Instagram? Do they use Instagram kind of as like a second website and it's really just a landing page and they want to just check me out a little bit more? I have some clients who get a ton of business through Instagram and some who get no business and they do it all through referrals. So we want to know, is doing an Instagram post supporting getting that ideal client in the door or not? And that becomes often a great time to look at like, what could you just put off the table or what do you want to do more effectively? So this really requires you to plan intentionally. This is how you will be effective. All right. Intentionally does not mean that you are perfect and plan every last second of the day or that nothing ever gets switched around. But it does mean you're, again, making those conscious decisions about how you're spending your time. It also requires you to get specific because specificity is what allows you to get into easy action. So when you know exactly what you're planning to do, you can shortcut some of that confusion and overwhelm. And planning intentionally is one of the 5 steps in the out of overwhelm process. And it is really the cornerstone of so much that I teach. Everything that my coaching philosophy really centers on is specificity and simplicity. And it really dials in what is important and getting you into action. Getting you into action, not just to do, but to get the most impactful things done and allow you to enjoy your business and enjoy your life. As I said with, talking about the long-term results and short-term results, it's a really great time to look at what could just be deleted. So what could you let go of or potentially delete completely? And it's another question you could ask yourself is like, what are those busy tasks that I'm doing that don't actually produce results in my business, that are just kind of time fillers? They are things that I do because I get that hit of feeling busy and productive, but it's not leading to the ultimate results that I want or the goals in my business. In order to really move the needle on this time management approach, you need to shift from being action-oriented to someone who closes the loop daily. And closing the loop is really about doing what you say you're going to do. It's about being specific about what needs to get done and what supports your goals. It is about making strong decisions, so many of the things that we talked about. It's really the shift from being that busy bee in your business to taking the stance of the CEO. So this is really why these 3 secrets work. You're solving for the root issue before you dive into the tactics. Your thinking is the root cause of the time management issue, right? And it might be the way that you are thinking about time, like I gave the examples of I'm so behind. It also could be thinking such as like, I want to be accessible to my clients at all times, or I want to seem approachable. Maybe it's some people-pleasing tendencies, right? So many things impact the way our time is managed that we have to look at those root issues first, and then we can take actions that are going to support what you ultimately want with the time management, okay? You're also going to be learning how to not just manage your schedule, but maintain it. There are so many different ups and downs to the work, to our personal lives. If any of you are parents on this call, we just, like, I think pretty much everyone now has sent their children back to school, right? Like, there's different seasons of our business and of our life. And we want to be able to adapt to change, to pivot, okay? And really figure out how to manage our time no matter what the circumstances are. Think about how planning for results in your business, that last secret, is going to get you laser focused on what you need to do today, tomorrow, and the next week, and the next month. You're going to know what you can let go of, what's not meant for you at this moment. And this is going to free up so much, not just time, but mental space. Think of if you could just like take a chunk of worry and stress out of your brain and just set it aside. And that's what this is going to do for you. I also wanted to say too, that this work really will make you a better leader. For those of you who have teams or are thinking of bringing on support, when we are very clear on the results that we want to create in our business, it becomes so much easier to effectively delegate. Because we hire support in our business or have a team or contractors, whatever it looks like for you, to produce results for us, not to just do tasks, okay? And so when we're clear on our results, it's so much easier to be clear with them about the results they need to produce. These are some of the skills you're going to need to develop as you practice these secrets. So the mindset management tools and the emotional resilience. You're going to need to practice catching when you're telling yourself a story that is not serving you, and actively work on shifting yourself to a way of thinking, a way of being, a feeling that is going to support the way you want to manage your time. You're also going to need to work on collecting data so that you can evaluate with curiosity. This is another step in the out of overwhelm process, is curious evaluation. It's that process of using the framework that I teach you to go out, take action, implement, and learn what's going to work best for you. And of course, within my coaching programs, you do that with my support. And if you decide to do this on your own, evaluation is so, so important. It's what keeps you from recreating the wheel all the time and kind of like repeating those same lessons that need to be learned but never get learned because we don't take a look. And lastly, really having that clear and compelling life and business vision. There's no point in managing your time if you're just going to do it to try and squeeze more work into every last nook and cranny of your day. Something that is so, so important to myself and to my clients that I work with is having a business that supports your life and a life that supports your business, and having those two work together as opposed to having an adversarial relationship where they are kind of against each other. All right, so these are, of course, skills that I can help you with. And I want you to just envision yourself now having implemented these things and how you'll feel in control of your day. You're going to know what you're doing and when. You're going to have more time to do the creative work that you really want to do in your business. You're going to have the time to go to that workout class or go to a museum and have some fun every once in a while, right? And you're also going to be able to give your full attention to your clients. You're going to be focused. You're going to be with them. You're going to be in their project when you're working on it, right? And that is going to be a happier you and happier clients lead to more referrals. And lastly, the financial impact of learning to manage your time is just incredible. You are going to increase your profits. You're going to be able to bill for all of your time that you're working on things because you're going to know where it's going. If you do a flat fee approach, you're going to be able to increase that profitability because you're going to be more efficient at what you're doing and getting paid more per, if you did it by hour or however you look at it. The impact is really, really huge. And I want to just share a few client examples so that you can see yourself in them and have this as an example of what's possible with this work. So Katja, when she first came to work with me, she described herself as a duck on water, meaning she looked nice and calm on top, but below it was like the feet were just going, right? And it's like, this work changes your business and it changes your life and it creates so much calm and ease, right? So I'll let you read what these clients have shared, but I want to make sure that you know this is an example of what is possible for you when you learn to manage your time. And Kristen was a great example of wanting to be accessible and on for her clients all the time, and because she didn't want to seem too rigid or unapproachable. And what she found was learning to manage her time actually made her a better experience for her client. And Ruth here, she is, really she loved learning to trust herself in this out of overwhelm process and learning to manage your time. I love coaching on time because it brings up so much other worthwhile work. Like I said, the people pleasing, setting boundaries, learning how to let go of control in your business so that you can be freed up to do that CEO work. There's so much that comes from learning to manage your time that is outside of a perfectly time-blocked calendar. So think about your future self right now, the one who has implemented these secrets. Picture yourself a year from now. What would that version of you say to yourself today? Might be thank you. Thank you for the life you've created, the business you've created. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad you went through the messy middle to come out on the other side. What does your future self have to say? I want to give you all an opportunity to get started with this work today. So I have a free resource on my website. It's desicreswell.com/planner. This is your full-on permission to open up a browser tab and open up the internet. I know I told you to close it, but go download this right now. I'll give you some time to do that. You want to get on this list. So the planner is going to give you my 5 best tips for an efficient and effective workday. You're going to get mindset prompts to help you follow through and dial in your focus. And I've also got a daily planning sheet in there that you can use to set your priorities for the day, track your time. There's so many different ways you can use this resource, and clients just love it. Also, this is going to get you on my list. And like I said, we are going to be doing a goal setting workshop later this year. I'm also going to be doing a free Q&A call on focus. So you definitely want to get on my mailing list. And this, if you download the planner, that will do that for you. You'll also be the first ones to know about when Out of Overwhelm is opening up. We'll be running the next round in January. So this is a great way to get started on what we've talked about today. And especially if you're thinking about joining me in January for Out of Overwhelm, to get started on this work now. And lastly, feel free to connect with me. If you've got additional questions that you think of afterwards, feel free to reach out. You can send me an email, desi@desiid.com, or find me on Instagram. I'd love for you to tag me if you download the planner, or share something that you have gleaned from today. But I love to connect and hear what resonated. and start those conversations. So feel free to reach out in any of those ways.